Hello and welcome to today's economics podcast for sixth form A-level students at the Pigott School. And today we've discussed previously macroeconomy, so the state of the UK macroeconomy and how to answer exam questions. And for this one, links the last two really, I wanted to talk about how you can get information or what you need to do well at A-level economics. So to do well at A-level economics, you're going to need to know how to answer questions, you're going to need to practice papers, and that's going to be very similar, I'm sure, across your other A-level subjects. But the big difference with A-level economics is you are going to need to know what is going on in the real world, relate it to things that are happening in the real world, and use examples of the real world. Your economics paper is generally written 9 months to a year before you sit it. So for year 12 going into year 13 students, that means your paper has probably already been written or is close to being written. So it's stuff that is currently going on that is going to be tested. So that's for micro and macro. Though for this year's A-level economics exam paper, there were questions on the privatisation of the Royal Mail. There was a question on the sugar tax, for example, and in the macroeconomy for the last couple of years, although there wasn't one this summer, obviously Brexit, trade, leaving the EU has come up. So you're going to need to know what is going on. For a long time I worked with Mr. Woodall, who retired last year, and he would for years go on at students to watch the Channel 4 News. I will not disagree with him on that. Channel 4 News, 7 o'clock every evening, unless there's some sort of scandal or big political thing going on, or that's normally linked to economics as well. They will normally have at least one item where they're having an in-depth look at some economic issue, and the level of analysis there is excellent. So I would say Channel 4 News every weeknight at 7 is sort of pitched towards beginning of year 13 students. The BBC News at 6 o'clock isn't bad. It will give you sort of what you need to know, but I would say that's pretty pitched at year 12 beginning economic students. So it will give you the facts, it will give you the basics, but if you want a bit more depth analysis explanation, it's Channel 4 News. So that's what a couple of good things to watch on TV. In terms of websites, we've got the BBC website, which you should have bookmarked or look on your phone daily. Much like the BBC News 6 o'clock news, it's probably pitched at lower economics. It'll give you what you need, it will give you good examples. Some of the longer articles that they've got in the economics and business section where they explain will give you more depth. But if you're just looking at the business page, it will sort of give you what you need to know in terms of facts. There is also the Tutor to You website. The Tutor to You website, or blog specifically, is perfectly pitched. So that is pitched towards, it's written by a former head of economics at Eton School. So that is pitched towards you. The blog is excellent for examples and analysis. It's relevant, it's updated very regularly. And it's the perfect pitch. Also on Tutor to You, you'll get lots of revision videos, guides, and so that will help especially towards your revision of things you can look at. There's a website called Trading Economics, which if you click on Trading Economics is essentially just a list of numbers, but those list of numbers, if you're ever short, panicking, thinking, don't know what the current rate of inflation, unemployment is, go on there, scroll down to UK, and it will give you it straight away. So as well as other countries, so you'll get pretty much every country in the world or major developing economy is on there. One you should be using at least every couple of days, and it's the one we use in class and I will constantly go on about, is the Scoop It Ashley Pearce website, which is my website. So all the other websites, stories that I use and I think are relevant from my 10 years of experience of doing this, I forward to that website. So it's sort of a one-stop shop for you to get any information. So the Scoop It Ashley Pearce site, we've got a micro section and a macro section. I will post there at least once every 2 or 3 days, relevant stories, from micro and macro. And again, some of those will have more in-depth analysis, explanation. Some of them will be those sort of short BBC articles that inflation has changed. But it's an absolute must for you to succeed. You should also be using the Gojimo app. That's Gojimo, Gojimo app or website. This app or site has got hundreds of multiple choice questions. The multiple choice, or the paper 3 that my year 13s have just sat this summer, was the first of the new specification, the first of its kind. There were many different types of multiple choice question that we haven't had past experience of, so we haven't got past papers. So the Gojimo app has created, especially the calculation ones and the business economics ones with the different diagrams. It's very, very important. So you can just go to, if you've just studied PPFs, Production Possibility Frontiers, which year 12s will do quite early on. Just go onto the Gojimo app website, find PPFs, answer 5 multiple choice questions when you're bored or when you're waiting for a bus. Your exam board is the AQA exam board. So with the AQA website, it's obviously got the specification on there, so it's got a list of what you would have learned or will be learning. So if you ever think you want to get a head start and read up, if you miss lessons and wonder what we would have probably done, we tend to follow pretty much the same order that it goes in. So they're all the topics that you will cover. It's also got specimen papers on it, and will have the papers just gone from this summer. So the AQA website will provide you with some sort of hard linked to your studies stuff that you need. You've also obviously got your buildings and your school around you. So in S4, where I tend to teach, there is an exam library in the back left-hand corner. So there's not many past exam papers. This is the summer just gone is the first set of this exam. So there aren't a huge number of past exam papers, but through different companies, Tutor to You ones, and ones that I have adapted and ones that I have created, there is a huge amount of micro, macro and paper 3 adapted papers. So if you ever want more practice, this is again especially important coming up to exam time. If you think I need some more multiple choice, I don't know how to answer the 4 mark questions properly, go and take an exam paper, do all of it, part of it, and I'll always be happy to mark anything that you produce. As well as the actual things that are there, you've got me and Mr. Drodowski, who are always willing to help and answer your questions. The smartest students are the ones that come and ask us questions. So if you're unsure of anything, if you want a theory gone through or you're stuck on something, we're generally around in S4 and S3 most times of the day, before school, break time, after school. Come and ask us and we'll be able to go through it with you. Going back to S4, on the right hand side as I look from the front, there will be a library of books on the right hand side. So there's 50 plus books in there. These are all economics books with a wide range of scope and how difficult they are. And please feel free to take one, read them in the summer, in the holiday, to broaden your knowledge. So you'll start out with, there are things like the Economic Naturalist and For Economics. They're sort of your entry-level books, which are sort of fun to read, and you'll link some of the economic theory to real-world things that have happened, all the way through to the General Theory by John Maynard Keynes and The Wealth of a Nation by Adam Smith. So they're sort of tougher, slightly more university level historical books, but there's all many different books in between. So there's books more linked to behavioural economics, more linked to psychology, more linked to politics. So if you want to borrow a book, read one, you can ask me, and I will give a recommendation. There will also be every Tuesday after school, permitting not having to go away for a meeting or something. So for an hour after school, every Tuesday, I will be in S4 with a sort of revision catch-up session. So sometimes I will just get you to draw lots of diagrams. I might say do a multiple choice paper, but I want it to be the student's resource rather than me dictating it. So if you want to come in and do your homework, just knowing that I can answer questions, that's fine. If you want to come in and see me, that's fine. If you want to come and to use a textbook, anything like that, every Tuesday after school for an hour from 3 till 4, you'll be able to get me to answer any questions that you have. There's also a student magazine, which I'm sure many of you are aware about by now, called Pigonomics. We aim to do this 4 times across the school year, and it's your magazine. So there was a magazine called Economics based on Eton School, and I thought let's not have the fee-paying private schools be the only ones that could do an economics magazine. So this has now been running for 3 or 4 years, and each one of you will submit articles, and then I will choose which ones are the best. Now, the ones that get in are generally the ones that show the most opinion. I'm not interested in a copy and pasted version of Britain's housing crisis or productivity puzzle. I want some facts, a bit of research from you, but I want your opinion. What do you think of something? And generally, these articles can be about anything. So in the past, we've had the economics of Harry Potter. We've had many football ones, the Premiership TV money, the economics of fashion, looking at companies. So Apple, BlackBerry, the failure of BlackBerry. We've had country focuses, and then things like best places to live, UCAS guides, best places to go to university. So the aim for Pigonomics is that it's wide-ranging and it's yours. There also will be quizzes in there, so you produce quizzes, produce questions and games. But again, the funner, the more innovative, the more likely it is to get in. And when we do print and create those Pigonomics, it's your magazine, it's your peers and your colleagues that you're reading. Do make sure you're reading that from cover to cover. Right, so hopefully that leaves you with plenty to go on with. However you learn, you might be listening to the radio, it might be looking on websites, it might be doing questions on websites, it might be reading books. But however you learn or however you get your news, you need to make sure you are paying attention to the news to succeed in economics. Thank you.